The reason why the police response is never swift is because cops don't have to be swift. They can get away with murder in the wrong places, and they can get away with not doing the murder in the place where they're expected to. The main point in that is that they can get away with it. There's no accountability because there is an attitude that cops are actually throwing their bodies at the problem in instances like Uvalde. Because people genuinely believe, by way of media portrayal, because the media absolutely plays a significant role in like defending cops, no matter how incompetent they are, local news especially, people have this attitude that cops are literally rushing to take down shooters and throwing their bodies at the problem. Not to take away from the situation or look ahead too doomily, but this man is going to set an awful precedent for cops to jump to when they're too quick to kill someone in the future as well. Completely predictable and broken system. Exactly. There's the other side of that too. Now cops are going to be even fucking more brutal and be like, well, what? You wanted us to be fucking brutal. You wanted us to be brutal. You wanted us to be swift. Here, we're being swift. And they're going to continue murdering the wrong people over and over again. I'm pretty sure there's a legal precedent that states that they are not required to act, not required to help, not legally liable if they choose to do nothing. Oh, of course. No, I know. There was, I believe, a 2005 Supreme Court decision that dictated that cops don't actually have to fucking, they're not legally liable and are legally required to act in a situation that puts their life at risk, okay? And then even, yeah, here it is, 2005, June 28th, 2005. Justices rule that the police do not have a constitutional duty to protect someone. The decision, with an opinion by Justice Anthony Scalia and dissents from Justices John Paul Stevens and Ruth Bader Ginsburg, overturned a ruling by a federal appeals court in Colorado. The appeals court had permitted a lawsuit to proceed against the Colorado town Castle Rock for the failure of the police to respond to a woman's pleas for help after her estranged husband violated a protective order by kidnapping their 3 young daughters, whom he eventually killed. For hours on the night of June 22nd, 1999, Jessica Gonzalez tried to get the Castle Rock police to find and arrest their estranged husband, Simon Gonzalez, who was under a court order to stay 100 yards away from the house. He had taken the children, ages 7, 9, and 10, as they played outside, and he later called his wife to tell her that he had the girls at an amusement park in Denver. Ms. Gonzalez conveyed the information to the police, but they failed to act before Mr. Gonzalez arrived at the police station hours later, firing a gun with the bodies of the girls in the back of his truck. The police killed him at the scene. The theory of the lawsuit Ms. Gonzalez filed in the federal district court in Denver was that Colorado law had given her an enforceable right to protection by instructing the police on the court order that you shall arrest or issue a warrant for the arrest of a violator. She argued that the order gave her a property interest within the meaning of the 14th Amendment's due process guarantee, which prohibits the deprivation of property without due process. The district court and a panel in the United States Court of Appeals for the 10th Circuit dismissed the suit, but the full appeals court reinstated it and the town appealed. The Supreme Court's precedents made the appellate ruling a challenging one for Ms. Gonzalez and her lawyers to sustain. They don't protect property? No, dude, that's not... No, they don't protect women, okay? It's not... They're trying to fucking... Cops are notoriously bad at enforcing temporary restraining orders. If you've ever gotten a temporary restraining order, if you've ever gotten like a sea of fucking death threats and had to at least like go talk to the cops about it, to a degree where you have to talk to the cops about it, they will straight up tell you, well, we can do a temporary restraining order, but one, you will be informing the other person, we will be informing the other person that you're, getting a temporary restraining order against them, and in most circumstances that can actually agitate them further. And two, a lot of people falsely assume that a temporary restraining order actually means like there's a physical barrier. There is no physical barrier. This person can still come over. It's just a way to basically document it for the court cases in the inevitable fucking murder that happens to you. So just remember that as well. I mean, this is a very real conversation that I've had with a fucking Los Angeles Police Department detective. I'm not fucking pulling this shit out of my ass. They straight up, when I went and had a conversation with the police like many, many years ago, when I first started getting death threats and it wasn't like the fucking norm for me, I was like, holy shit. And my manager was like freaking the fuck out and it was like, you have to go talk to the cops right now. They basically told me to buy a gun and also defend myself if something were to happen. So, good video about that court case, how judges apply it to other cases where cops did not act. Oh yeah, Crack did a video on this as well. Here, let's watch.
If you've ever been on the internet, I mean, you're here right now, you probably wound up in the comments section of at least one article about a mass shooting, some other kind of killing spree, and seen dozens of assholes make comments like,
dude, if I was there, I would have totally stopped that guy. I totally know Kung Fu, and I just like knock the weapon out of his hand and then break his neck with a spin kick, and then my mom would finally love me.
My name is Joe Lazito, and one day in 2011, my morning commute was interrupted by the tail end of a 28-hour-long stabbing spree. The reason that spree ended is because I stopped it, and I learned
Heroically saving
the
the day
stabber,
can
Maxim
suck.
Gelman, was already famous across the city. I didn't know any of that, though, because I'd gotten up too early to catch the paper. So when an obviously high person staggered crazily into the train, I just kind of figured morning in New York, you know? That creepy guy, who I'd later learn was Gelman, started banging on the door of the engineer's compartment.
Let me in.
I was sitting right by the door. The only thing separating the engineer and myself was a wall. It turned out there were 2 cops on the other side of the door, lying in wait in case Gelman hopped on this train. I found out later they'd recognized him, but they didn't charge out to stop him. Instead, they asked him a polite question.
Who are you?
I'm the police.
You're not the police.
You'd expect 2 armed cops to, I don't know, maybe do something about a wanted fugitive spree killer that they were on the...
That's crazy, dude. What? No shot. No way, dude. What? That's crazy. Hey, this was how many years ago? Surely the fucking MTA police have changed their attitude, right? I mean, you see so many fucking videos of them beating the absolute living shit out of random black teenagers who are fair hopping, no matter how young they are. Certainly they're really, really much better at like defending people, right? Oh wait, there was a mass shooting that failed, luckily, because the dude was dog shit at fucking aiming like 3 weeks ago or like a month ago. I don't even know when it happened. But yeah, remember when that fucking happened and the cops couldn't find the guy and the guy basically turned himself in after another fucking shopkeeper actually figured out who the fuck the guy was, and then the cops didn't even give that shopkeeper, who was like a Syrian immigrant, money, the $50,000 that they were supposed to give him? Just incredible competence, boys. Incredible competence. There is 2 groups of individuals in this fucking dog shit country that routinely get promoted, celebrated, venerated. Well, not venerated, but like, okay, there's 2 groups of people in this country that can just be the worst at their job. Politicians and fucking cops. Maybe politicians don't get venerated, but cops get celebrated and venerated too, on top of that. Like, they're treated as like a fucking heroic, brave warriors.
The train specifically to arrest, but they stayed put. So Gelman walked up to me, whipped out an 8-inch knife, and told me,
You're going to die.
Then he stabbed me. I was in the sort of situation every man thinks about at least twice a day. Suddenly thrust into a life-or-death situation that required me to become a badass. Unfortunately, I had no badass training, but I have watched a lot of MMA, and when he brought back his arm to stab me again, I decided to dive in for a single-leg takedown. It should have looked like this. But in reality, I shot in too high and wound up tackling him by the waist, rather than getting him in the leg. So he stabbed me repeatedly in the skull. The good news for you armchair badasses is that you can have no idea what you're doing but still succeed on dumb luck and balls. I outweighed Gelman by a lot, so he went down despite the power of a knife on his side. So we're both on the ground, I'm on top, and he still got his stabbing machine in hand. I tried to grab his right hand, which held the knife, with my left, but I missed, and he sliced me good in the thumb. I tried to catch him a second time and failed, so he slashed me again in my left tricep.
Woo!
My third grab was a chom, though. I caught his hand and slammed it into the ground.
Bro, that right there is just straight up adrenaline, by the way. Adrenaline is the reason why when you get shot, you literally don't feel it for a very long time. It's dope. It's fire. If you've ever actually been in a situation, like if you've ever actually been in like a fight or anything like that, adrenaline is OP. It's goated. It's great.
He dropped the knife. Once I had him pinned and was, dying of blood loss, the cops decided it was safe enough to arrest Gelman. Next thing I remember is a cop tapping me on the shoulder. You can get up now, we got him. I thought that was being charitable, but at the time I didn't exactly feel argumentative. There was no pain yet, just this warm feeling from the blood gushing out of me. It was like standing in the shower with warm water spraying the top of your head and flowing down the back of your neck. And again, when you'd expect the police to jump to my aid, they didn't. None of them even touched me. The only guy to render aid was another passenger, Alfred Douglas, aka Napkin Man, because he staunched my bleeding injuries with napkins. I think Napkin Man probably saved my life, but at this point I'd been stabbed roughly all the times a person can be stabbed while remaining conscious. And so I passed out. When I eventually came to in the hospital, it was kind of frustrating to realize that none of the early coverage mentioned me or Napkin Man.
There's a...
The police gave all the credit to the two officers who'd been in the subway train with me. Only neither of them actually even left the booth until I disarmed Gelman. During the grand jury hearing, one of the cops testified, I started to come out, I opened the door, but I thought Gelman had a gun, so I closed the door and stayed inside. I can see how in a stressful situation you might mistake a knife for a gun. But also, that kind of makes it more infuriating. If you, Mr. Cop A Police...
That's crazy. How crazy, boys. Look at that. How similar of a situation is that, dude? Does this guy understand that nobody cares about his stupid opinion? Are you telling me that, or are you telling... Dude, I love this. I love random guy who like waited in here long enough so that he could have enough points to fucking highlight his comment. First take, immediately banned. That's awesome, dude. That's great. Okay, anyway. No, this is you know, I guess not too far from what happens all the time. Oh my god, that's crazy. But you don't, Hasan, you don't hear about the times the cops are being heroes. Like, dude, that is expected, okay? That is the job, brother. That's the job. Not only is that, like, actually what you are supposed to do, and you still fail to do it regularly, you make it seem like you do it all the time. You know what I mean? Like, if you ask the average Norman who's, like, brain broken from, like, local news and, like, news in general and all the, like, stereotypes that you see about cops and the fucking news and shit, you would think that they're, like, literally the greatest heroes of all time. They're fucking our heroes. I only get down on fucking one knee, not for the national anthem, but to suck off a fucking brave boy in the blue. You know what I mean? That's how it's supposed to be, because there are brave heroes. Like, what the fuck?
Policington thinks...
Okay, hold on. I gotta turn.
This insane, drug-addled murderer has a gun, and he's sitting on a train bound for Times Square. Don't you want to stop him at all costs? So yeah, I decided to sue the NYPD. The first case I brought got dropped, so I acted as my own lawyer for the second case, and finally made it to a judge. The judge said,
Mr. Lozito's version of the story sounds highly credible, and his version of events rings true.
But I still lost the case. Here's how that was justified in its original legalese.
No direct promises of protection were made to Mr. Lozito, nor were there direct actions taken to protect Mr. Lozito prior to the attack. Therefore, a special duty did not exist.
It turns out there was a major piece of legal precedent in my way. In 2005, the Supreme Court ruled on Castle Rock v. Gonzalez.
Yup.
In that case, a woman sued the Castle Rock PD after they failed to respond when she complained that her estranged husband had violated a protective order and abducted their kids. He eventually murdered them. The Supreme Court ruled in the police department's favor. It turns out it's literally not their job to protect people. So to the internet badasses who are about to comment on this video and claim they'd totally nailed the takedown, you should make a note of a few things. First, my insurance had me in and out of the hospital in 2 days. And the hospital didn't give me any AIDS or hepatitis tests after I'd been stabbed with a knife that had stabbed other people. Apparently that's not medically necessary. Second, if you ever get the chance to confront a dangerous armed
Thank you, Matt Beats, for the fucking this.
madman, don't trust in the police having your back. Don't expect to get the credit, and hope like hell there's another napkin man waiting in the wings to help you.
That was a brilliant fucking video, dude. That was awesome. Why the cops won't help you when you're getting stabbed. The October 30th, 2017 crack.com video, very good. Dude, I'm starting to believe that this country is kind of fucked up. Yeah, no one showed up. We are 30 minutes past when the NRA ILA with former President Trump was supposed to start, and here's what it looks like in the audience. Oh, he won't show up then. He won't show up. He literally will not show up. If the audience is this fucking empty right now at the NRA convention, I don't think he's gonna come out. If you like this video, please subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss out on any future videos.